to buy it. Maybe I'll buy it for half price. You want to sell it to me for 1,000? I'm going to buy it for 5 because it's too much risk.
Liability.
It's too much risk in this field. I'll buy it for 100. No matter risk that you have in this field, I'll buy it for 100, not for 1,000. I'm not going to buy your field. It's too risky. So the buyers have to have some idea of what it is. So the rabbis said when things are too risky, we're not going to make the buyer liable. That's the point. The rabbi said that. Why? Because other people are not going to buy. The society is not going to be liquid. We want money to flow. We want people to buy and sell. I hope you don't communicate. That's very important. When you make people scared, nobody does business, and people don't earn much. People don't earn a living. Everybody's afraid. I'm going to tell you one thing quickly. It was related anyway, so I'm going to tell you something quickly. Related anyway, and I have to tell you this. Listen to this. What was the year? Was it 2008? I can't remember. Everybody got wiped out on all these .com? They got wiped out.
No, that was the .com. That was like 2001.
Yeah,
the 2008 was when all the buildings went down.
Oh no, they do it. So same thing though. So all this money got wiped out. Billions and billions of dollars disappeared overnight. So listen, I'm not in finance. Wasn't my job. Yes, but I can't. What do you mean it got wiped out? I understand if you have a house, if God forbid it burnt down. You had the crops, they would destroy. All of a sudden, everything's on paper. That's the same world as here now as was here before. The same amount of wheat is here as it was yesterday. I couldn't understand it. Listen to this. They showed me in 1928. In 1928, the Hanan Wasserman wrote. Listen to this. You can't believe 1928. The economy was failing in 1928. 20, well, yeah, he wrote in 28. It must have been already bad in Europe in 28 already. So he writes the following. He says, "What's going on here?" You have to hear this. I saw it's inside. If you want, I'll try to find it for you if you want to see it. He says, "What's going on?" He says, all of a sudden there's no money around. He says the same thing I said. We have the same commodities we had before, the same oil, the same timber, the same wheat. He says, listen, he says in South America they're throwing coffee into the ocean because can't sell it. So he says, what's happening? So he says, I'll tell you what's going on. He says, the smaller bank needs to borrow money from the bigger bank, but the bigger bank doesn't trust the smaller bank. They won't lend them. And the bigger bank needs to borrow from the bigger bank, and they won't lend them because they don't trust them. And nobody trusts anybody. And therefore, nobody's willing to lend any money. And everything is at a standstill. He says, you know what the problem is? Because people stop trusting God. He said, listen to this, in 28, he says this. People stop trusting God. And if people will trust God, then the big bank will trust the big bank and lend them money. And the big bank will trust the next size bank will lend them money. And the other bank will lend the smaller bank money, and everything will go back to normal. It's amazing. He says the economy was a reflection of the spiritual realities. Can you believe that? Incredible. It's incredible. I believe that. If you want to see that, I saw it years ago. Amazing. Okay, amazing. Anyway, huh?
Going on also.
What's that?
The stock, like we just had it recently.
Yeah.
The New York Stock Exchange, there was this restaurant company for something like $10 million. It was only one restaurant. It's serving every 20 people a day. It was phony.
It was phony. Right.
People bought it.
That's right.
And when they came to okay, give me my
wasn't there.
That was it. Nothing was there.
So the rabbis want a society that's liquid. You know, seeing that where money flows, people borrow money, people lend money. Remember, you probably saw it here. The rabbis did certain things so that people will want to lend money. We want money to be available for lending. We want to encourage lending. So we want to give strength to who? To the lender. We want to give strength to lenders so that lenders will not be afraid to lend money. Exactly. That's exactly. We want money to flow. Same thing. We want people to buy properties. If a person needs money, we want him to be able. We want there to be a market for him to sell the property. If every buyer of a property is terrified that the property is going to be ripped away from them, nobody's going to buy. People will buy one property in 100. They're not going to buy. Therefore, they're representing that. Now we have to take a look. We said yesterday that when a person buys a field, even though he has a right to claim, if that field was sold to him illegally, the person sold him a stolen field, he has a right to claim back. He has a right to claim back from the seller, from the price of the field, for the produce that was on the field, but he cannot get back the money for the produce that he grew on the field. Why?
No, you're going backwards. This is the one who had it stolen from.
Yeah, I'm saying.
5 years later, he can't say.
I'm saying, the one I saw, it's probably, stolen. Thank you very much. Thank you, same one. But what's the point? The point is why? Because we're afraid that otherwise people are going to be afraid to buy. You say, listen, now, what is the reason? So yesterday we had two reasons. We had one reason was, but the first reason we said yesterday, Ula, was that anything that's not, even if it is written, anything that's not publicized is the main point. Anything that's not made public, we're not gonna let a buyer have to be responsible for. Why is that? Why is that? Because he's never gonna buy. Okay, we're now gonna have a second opinion why you can't collect those things. I think that's what we got up to yesterday. Exactly. So this is the second. The first opinion was what the reason is because it's not publicized. So therefore, we cannot make
in the contract.
Right.
So that
This actually even was written, but it's not public. It's not made public.
It's still not.
It's not made public. Rabbi Chanina Amar Lefi Shein Ketzuvin. He says no. Even if it's written, doesn't matter. Anything it's not set. If I'm going to have to be able to claw back whatever I planted, this buyer is or this seller is never going to the buyers, the people who bought the fields from the seller, will never know what they're liable for. Are you going to plant $1,000 worth, $100,000 worth, $1 million? I'm not buying a field. I have to have, in order for me to judge the price I'm going to pay for the field, I have to have some parameters to know what my risk is. If I don't know if you're going to plant 1,000 or 1,000,000, I can't price the field. I have no idea what my risk is. You might plant 1,000,000, you might plant 1,000. I don't know. So therefore, anything that's not kotzuv, any liability that's not set, he's not responsible for. Okay, so now the question is, I have a query. The Rabbi Chanina Ksuv, when you tell me that anything that's not set, a person, the buyers are not going to be responsible for the later buyers, does it have to be written and set? Okay, no, or as long maybe no, even if it's set, even if it's not known, it's not public, as long as it's a set price, that's enough to make the later buyer liable. Okay, let's see. Toshma, come, I'll try and bring you a proof to this point. Okay, let's take a look. Didma we learn. Misha makes a guy died and he left 2 daughters and a son. Now you remember, estates always go to who? To the boys and not to the girls. But every girl,
they each get a 10.
Every girl has a right when she gets married to get 1/10 of the father's estate. Because we want the girls to get married. We want to make them also. We also would hear this is also a marketplace. You don't realize it. Marriage is also a marketplace. You see, we want to make the girl a good commodity. Now I did the other way. My daughters, according to every Jewish person, every boy tries to marry a bas Talmid Chacham, and every girl tries to marry a Talmid Chacham. So I used to tell my daughters a little, let Abba learn, so the boys don't want to marry. You'll be a bas Talmid Chacham. If you don't let me learn, you're not going to be a bas Talmid Chacham. So let Abba learn, and the boys are going to want to.
That's the Rishon.
Marry you.
Acharayim say marry a bas Ashir, so support.
Okay, anyway, so the guy died. He left 2 daughters who each had a right to 1/10 of the estate when they got married. Okay, when they got married, and he left a son who inherits. The Kadmari Shona, but not least in the husband. The first girl, she quickly got married. She immediately took 1/10 of the estate as she was getting married. But the second girl didn't get a chance to get married and take 1/10. And the son died. What happened now? The son died, and now the whole estate goes to what? To the 2 girls. Now the question is, does she get a right to take the 10th first and then divide the estate? Or she divides the estate and she lost the 10th? What's the rule? Okay, he says, no, second girl's ready. She forgoes this thing. Hey, come on. The whole reason why she gets the 10th is because she had no inheritance. She got inheritance.
She has money.
Yeah, she had money. The 10th is gone. Chanina said to him, he says, go, how can you say such a thing? How can you tell me she cannot get a right? She doesn't have a right to take the 10th of the estate. We learned Motzi Parnasa. We said you can take encumbered properties, okay, for what? To support the wife and daughter after the husband dies. We can take encumbered properties for the dowry. For the dowry, we can take from encumbered properties. Okay, 1 second. But people who bought the fields from the estate, from the father, the wife and daughters, okay, for the sake of what? For the daughters, for the sake of their dowry, they can claw it back from people who bought her father's fields. Okay, but fields from the dowry. But what? But they cannot take from the buyers. They cannot take the support. You're going to tell me what? So the second one, it let go. If she is allowed to claw back her 10th from people who bought the field, certainly when she inherits the field, she has the right to the 10th. What are you talking about? Okay, but here's the main point. That's not the issue that we want. We're trying to prove. What are we trying to prove? We're trying to find out when we said the opinion that anything that's not anything that's set
Published.
anything that's set can be clawed back. Does it have to be set and written or set alone enough? He says, "V'aparnasa the meikatzkais." He said, "Look, now when it comes to the dowry is a set price. It's always 1/10 of the inheritance. Those the buyers always knew that there was a liability. They had to leave if they didn't want to get clawed back. They had to leave enough free property to pay back 1/10 of the inheritance. And it's not written. We see that she can claw it back. So you see a proof to one more point. You see that as long as the liability is a set price, even if it's not publicized, you can claw it back. We proved that point. Where Sigmar says, no, you didn't prove your point. Shana Panasa said, no, it's not true. I could say, yeah, even if it's
not written, because it is publicized. Everybody knows the girl gets it.
No. The point is like this. As long as it's set, even if it's not written, it's enough for the buyer to be held responsible. So he said, no, it's not true. Why? Really, what I could say to you, the truth is that it has to be set and written and publicized. What? But Shani Panasa, why is that? Because by definition, you know why this is clawed back, even though it's not written down? Because it's as if it's written down. Shani Parnasa, when it comes to a dowry, it's came in the Islay Kala. Okay, everybody knows that. Everybody in the world knows that the father has to give 1/10 of his estate to the daughter, gets 1/10 of the estate. So even though it's not written down, it's as if it's the same as it's written. So therefore, you haven't proven your point. Now, the Gemara says, we said in the first opinion we said yesterday, we said the reason why you cannot get the new produce that you grow back, okay, from the encumbered fields is because they're not written down. I'm going to ask you a kasha. Well, it's not true. Masi Rav Huna bar Manochi asked this kasha. We learned the following. Okay, now this is a little hard. Okay, a guy Mesu Benoseyam. Okay, Mesu. If these husbands died, they were married to women. Okay, and here's the case. You have to know that let's say, a stepfather is not responsible. Every father has to support his little girls. When he dies, even a man when he dies, his minor girls are supported from estate till they reach majority or till they get married. His wife is supported until she takes a ksuba. You understand? So or she gets married. So now what happens if I marry a woman? You marry a woman and she has girls from another marriage. She has daughters. So you make a deal. So listen, I'll support him. You're not obligated. Yeah, I'll support him. I'll support him for a year. I'll support him for 5 years. So what happened now? So a guy married a woman and said, "I'll support your daughter, or I'll support your daughter for 5 years." Then he divorces her, and within the 5 years, another guy marries her. So what's the rule? They both pay. They both pay. Why is it? One gives the food and one gives the equivalent of the food. They both pay.
They have the contractual obligation.
Right, because they obligated. So this girl did good. She got double income. The divorce was to her benefit. Okay, but what? So if they die, those girls get paid for what? Only from unencumbered properties. Okay, but
the daughters. The
stepdaughters, right? But okay, pardon me. His real daughters probably get from unencumbered properties. But the stepdaughters, what? And the stepdaughters, they get paid even from unencumbered properties. Why? We said because they're like any lender. Now we don't understand why there's a difference. Okay, what's the difference? What's the difference between his daughter who automatically has to support, or the stepdaughter who he contracted? It says Hachamaskina. It says the Gemara. So what's the difference? So you have to say what? But I didn't explain the kasha. The 5 is not written in the Ksua. The 5-year support is not written, and yet it's not written. That's what we're saying. That's the kasha. It's not written, and yet he has to pay. So you see, we have a kasha to what? So we have a kasha to Ula. Ula told us what? We have a kasha to Ula. You told me what? That anything that's not written, you can't claw back, and yet we see this is not written, then we do claw it back. Where it says no, here's the case. Even though it wasn't written, they made a kinyan. You know what a kinyan is? Here, I give him a hanky, I give him a scarf. And when you make a kinyan, by definition, it's going to be written down. All the witnesses know that when I make a kinyan, I take a scarf like you do by these things. So then we're going to write, and people publicize that he is going to agree to support the girls. He made the deal for 5 years. So even though it's not written, it says written. He says, Gemara says what? If that's true, banas nami. What do you mean if he missed it? He made a kinyan in the same way he made a kinyan for the stepdaughters. He also made a kinyan for his own daughters. What's the difference? What's the difference between the two? The answer is, but Shekana Lezu, look on Lezu. Don't worry, no. The case of the Bryce was talking. He made a kinyan for the stepdaughters, but he didn't make a kinyan for himself. The Gemara says, "My Pascha, get out of here." He says, "Yeah, get out of here." He says, "What kind of Bryce? Who writes a legal document? What are you talking about? What guy wrote a Bryce like you're doing? You have so many turn signs and nobody knows what's going on. You wrote a Brysa, you didn't tell me, and it's a case where he made a kinyan for the stepdaughters, and he didn't make it. Who writes like that? You can't write a thing. You're having the guy drive blind. The reader can't understand what you're writing. The guy who wrote the Brisa didn't. Yeah, you can't tell me that somebody wrote a Brisa like that. You wrote a Brisa, you didn't tell me, and all the daughters. He made a kinyan for the stepdaughters. Didn't make a kinyan. Who writes like that? You can't write like that. So Gemara says, he says the answer is what? The answer is, here's the answer. It says, I'll tell you what. It is true. I'll tell you why. Because it's clear he could rely on us to know that there was a kinyan for the stepdaughters, there wasn't a kinyan for the daughters. Basi should dabai b'shas kinyan. I'll tell you why. Because the stepdaughters who were there, they were alive when he got married. Okay, Mahana the kinyan. And when he made a kinyan, you're right. He made a kinyan for everybody. But the kinyan only works for the stepdaughters and not for his daughters. Why? Because his daughters weren't born yet. So the stepdaughters who were there when he made the kinyan, it works. And even though he tried to make a kinyan for his daughters, it doesn't work. Why? Because they didn't exist yet. Okay, but his daughter wasn't there at the time of the kinyan. Okay, lo mahani lo kinyan. The kid says, wait a second. Who told you that's the case? Maybe it's a case where everybody was alive, his daughters and her daughters. Now, what's a case where his daughters and her daughters are alive? It's a crazy case. He marries a woman,
and divorces her.
he marries a woman, and he has a daughter with her. Then he divorces her. Then he marries her back, and when he takes her back the second time, he says, "And I'll support your daughter from a previous marriage." From before. So now, when he makes the kinyan, his daughter's alive and her daughter's alive. And the same thing when he divorces her, the second guy marries her, okay, has a daughter with her, then divorces her, then takes her back and says, "I'll make a kinyan to support your stepdaughter from a previous marriage, and the daughter I have with you." Okay, couldn't it be the case like I just told you? Where's the case? The Ger Adra, where he divorced her and remarried her, like I just told you. The answer is Elo. You have to say, what's the difference? Bito, the Batanai based in Kachla. Here's the answer. His daughter, what's the reason why she gets from his state? Because the Based in made a ruling. They made a ruling. So the Kinyan doesn't help. That's why. Okay, and therefore what? And therefore you can't claw it back because the kinyan doesn't make it public. Okay, but his stepdaughter, who is not a Tanai Basin, it's a deal that he made with his wife. Okay, the kinyan helps. Gemara says, "Get out of here!" Said that's insane. Gemara says, "That's a back. What kind of reasoning did you tell me? You're going to tell me what? You're going to tell me where Based in awards it? It's less. It's less than the deal that he made. Where Based in awards it's greater. It's even more.
Based in awards it's whatever they determine.
But that's not what the Gemara says. Gemara says it should be stronger. Ella, we have to give a different answer. Here's the answer. Ella Bito came to Tanai Based in Kachla. His daughter, since she eats by Tanai Based in Aimer Mitzar Atvasa. Here's what's happening. Here, when a guy makes a kinyan on something that was legally already bound, what's he doing? He's doing overkill. Based in says every daughter is gonna get a right to be supported from the father's estate. Why is he making a kinyan? You know what it must be? He's going out of his way to make it clear. I'm going to guarantee you money. He left her cash, and we're afraid he left her cash. We're afraid he left her cash. And therefore, we do not let him take back, for we do not let her collect from what? From encumbered fields. Okay, good. Now, when we want to say, when we said before that we don't take the improvement to the field and the fruits that the buyer is going to grow back from the buyers of the encumbered properties. Toshma, what's the reason? Toshma, let me ask you kasha. You told me the reason is because it's not written. You told me the reason is because it's not published. It's because it's not set fixed, and the guy can't protect himself. Remember, again, this is so important. If the guy, they should listen to us. If the guy, I want to tell you something. This is true, by the way. Is that a true? I'll tell you a true case. I'm not late. We started later, but I'm not late. Listen to this. This is a true story.
You're still alive.
But I'm still alive. A number of years ago, when I came to America from Israel, so I moved to Arizona. So I get a call one day in Arizona. A lady calls up. She says, "You're a rabbi?" I said, "Yeah." She says, "I'm from another state." She was calling for someplace else, like I don't know, Colorado, Texas. She says, "I'm not Jewish." Listen to this. She says, "I'm not Jewish, but I respect the wisdom of the Jews. and I'm having a business dispute in my business, and I want to hear what the Torah says. So I said, okay, maybe let's tell me what the case is. So then this was 2010 or 11. Everyone was losing their jobs. It was a very tight market. It was hard to keep a job. So she says, I work for a business and I'm highly trained. And my boss is asking myself and my coworkers to do jobs that are below our training. They were like high level, maybe programmers, whatever it is. They're doing, has them doing data entry. You know, saying it's beneath their pay grade. You understand? She said, so I'm doing it because I really value my job and I want to keep the job. She says, and my coworkers are complaining that I'm ruining the environment for them by doing it because now I'm going to make it. I'm going to make them. They're going to now. But I'm ruining by me agreeing to do it. I'm ruining
hurting them.
I'm hurting them. She says, I want to know what to do. I said, I'll call you back in a few minutes. So I put down the phone. I looked up a few things. I called her back. I said, listen, I want to ask you a question. I said, are you in a union? She said, no. I said, if there's no union that organizes your workers, if you know, then you can do what you want. The Gemara, we have unions in the Gemara, believe it or not.
But if you're...
One second, the wagon drivers in a given town, the wagon drivers or the tailors or the weavers, they can actually make, they can set all kinds of rules among the workers. I said, but if you're independent, I said, you have a right to function. That's their problem. They don't want to do it. That's their business, but they can't stop you from.
She's allowed to continue doing
keep a job.
Yeah.
And so she said, thank you. She was very happy. But you see, you see. But I'm saying, in general, I'm trying to tell you, you have to see that Chachamim want society to function. That's the main point you have to understand. We want business to go forward. Yes, it's a very important thing to understand. The Chachamim understood that a society has to be, you need liquidity. What's the word? I think that's the word. You need liquidity in a society. No liquidity, people can't. Everybody gets hurt. But there's not money around to borrow. It's that people can't do business. There has to be money. Even if you pay for the money, it doesn't matter, but the money's got to be available. Okay, Toshma. Okay, but and buying and selling. Here, liquidity also means that I can sell if there's no market for my field, there's no liquidity. It's the same problem. Okay. Toshma, Amar Yarasan, he says, I'm going to ask you kasha to both of the reasons you gave me. Okay, why? He says, Amosai, we learned when our mission told me that you can't claw it back. It has to be only when the buyer of the field bought it before the improvement of the buyer happened. So therefore, he can't be responsible. He's not responsible because he bought it before the other guy ever made the improvement on the bought field.
What's the case?
In other words, I bought a field. That guy who bought the field from the guy I bought the field from, I bought a field which is guaranteed. But the guy bought the field before I ever made my improvement. I bought a field. I bought a field with a guarantee. And he bought a field from the guy who sold me the field. So now he should be responsible for my field. The only thing is that I only improved my field after he made his.
But I'm asking, what's the mitzias? You buy.
I bought a stolen field.
Planted.
I bought a stolen field, and then he bought a field from the same guy, which has a lien for my field, and then I first improved the field and planted.
So the buyer improved because it's
the buyer. I improved it. Yeah, I improved it. Yeah, so now I improved it. So now you know why I can't claw back, because he had no way of knowing, okay, that I was going to improve the field or what I was going to do. But the mission is not speaking. If when I bought my field, I first improved the field, and then he bought the field to be encumbered, then he has to pay me. Then I'm allowed to collect back from him. Almost, you see what? That you guys, the reasoning that you two gave me is not true. The only reason why we don't collect back is why? Because I didn't improve the field before the guy bought the field with the lien bought it. Okay. So therefore, what? So it's not like you said. The says no. That there's that's only one opinion why I can't claw it back. Tanoi, it's a machlokas tanaim. I'll show you that exactly the reasoning that Ula Rechanina said. We're also in a brayso, the Tanya, because we learned so the Shavakar goes, you can't claw back from the encumbered fields the fruit that the buyer planted or the improvement that he made, and you can't claw back what the support of the widow of Abanas and the orphans of the unmarried daughters. All these things are tikkun olam. It's no good. I can't buy it back. Why? Either because nobody will buy, or because the or nobody.
It says why the fish.
Right, the fish ain't. But I don't want to say why. The fish ain't ksuvim. Why? Because they're not written down. That was the first opinion. Just like what? Just like Ula. Rabbi Yosef, what do you mean tikkun olam? He says, I don't need any particular tikkun. I don't need a rabbinic decree. Since nobody can possibly know how much the girls are going to eat, or how much he's going to improve the field, or how much the fruit's going to be, he automatically doesn't get it back. So we see really that the reasons that Ula Rechanina said were also in a brisa. Now we have a very important point. By the way, you should know there was a true case by Goyish court. Our Mishnah says what? That if a guy finds a lost object, nobody can make him swear. What's the usual case? In the Torah, if we go to court, you say, I owe $100. I say, listen, I don't owe you 100, I owe you 50. What's the rule? I have to pay you the 50 and I have to swear that I don't owe you the other 50. Or you say, I owe you 100, I say, I paid you 50 and I owe you 50. You have to swear that I don't owe you the other 50. That's called modeh b'miktzas hatayna. We're going to see it in a minute. And we're going to see in a minute what's the reasoning Rabbah says. I'm going to preempt. What's the reasoning? Why should I make a guy swear? He said, listen, I don't owe you the money. Usually you have to pay me. So what is the reason why both Miktzas Hatayna has to pay? Why is that? Because we say, you know what? This guy really is embarrassed. He borrowed money. He borrowed money from a guy. I know, I'm doing it purposely. I'm preempting the Gemara later. Rabbah said, what's the reason? Why do I make him swear? Because if a guy's a liar, why should I let him swear? You can't let a liar swear. He's going to lie again. So if I mistrust this guy, why do I make him swear? The answer is because we said this guy really is a guy who feels bad. He borrowed 100, okay, but he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it, and he can't say to the guy. He really wants to say, "Listen, I don't owe you anything," but he's embarrassed. He can't face the guy who did him a favor to lend the money. So he says, "Oh, yeah, I owe you 50," okay, and he figures one day, and then how can I let him swear he's a liar? And the answer is because he's not exactly a liar. He really wants to pay him, but he has another money right now. Figures when I'll get it, I'll pay him. So if we make him swear, we force him to admit the truth that he wanted to admit immediately. That's the whole reasoning of Rabbah. So that's so new. If I find a lost object, I say, here, I come, Mr. Jones, I found your wallet. Here you are with $100 in it. The guy says, there was 200 in this wallet. There was 200 in this wallet. So the guy says, I should have to swear. Again, he says, what's halacha? The halacha Mishnah says, what? We don't make a guy, get out of here. The guy did you a favor.
It's not really
yeah. As we're going to see this. As we're going to see in a minute. He's bringing it back. So he said, well, we don't make him swear. You're not going to beat a guy up for doing you a favor. Now, when I was a kid in Baltimore, there was, by Goyish courts that happened. A guy found a bag of money, a brown paper bag with money. I don't remember the number. But let's say he comes and he returns it to the guy with the new $400. And the guy said, took him to court. He says, there was $800 in this bag. There was $800 in the bag. This is true in the Goyish courts of Baltimore. The judge said, 1 second. He says, how much did you find? He said, 400 in the bag. He says, how much was in the bag you lost? He said, 800. He says, case dismissed. He says, the bag you found wasn't the bag you lost. I know that was the Goyish courts. The judge threw him out.
No, I mean, the fact is, if the guy is going to take the money, he'll take it all.
Exactly, yeah.
And he won't return it at all.
But I'm just saying that really happened. It happened in the Goyish court. The guy says the bag you lost is not the bag you found. It must be a different bag.
That means the loser doesn't get that bag of money because it's not his.
That's right. He gave me. Yeah, he said, "Get the money. Yeah, finally kept the money. Yeah, it's his money. He finally do it. He kept the 400 to goodbye. He punished the guy. Said goodbye. But anyway, now so it's a Vamotzi Mitzia Lo Yishavu. We said in our Mishnah that when I find a lost object and you claim that it was more than what I did, I don't have to swear more than makes us. Rabbi, so we said snake, but he tells a very important case, and it seems to contradict our Mishnah. What's the case? A guy says, hey, you found, I had two purses tied together, and you found two. The guy says, no, I'm sorry, I only found one purse, it's yours, but I only found one purse. Nishba.
Yes, this way.
He said he has to swear. Wait a minute, that's shocking. What do you mean? He's claiming two. He said one, and he was a finder of a loss. I shouldn't have to swear. Why does he have to swear? But if the loser says what you found two oxen that were tied together, well, only the other guy said there was only one. Enosh, but he doesn't swear. My timer. What's the reasoning though? He said, explain what's the reason. Shroim and not miadadu, because the two oxen, they're big animals. They become untied, so it's quite possible that the guy lost two and this guy only found one. We don't make him swear. But he says what kisin lo not miadadu. But purses they're not animate objects. If you tie two purses, they remain tied. And therefore, okay, Okay, and therefore they don't become untied. Now, uh, uh, or furthermore, Shnei Shvarim Kshum Nimatzasa, he says you found two tied oxen. V'Allah Omer, and Omer Matzasi. He says you're right. I did find two oxen, but I gave you back one. Okay, so now we got a problem. In at least three cases, at least two cases, he taught me what, that even though he admitted to part and the lost object, he has to pay. He's against our mitzvah. Yitzchak, less like Yitzchak not hold. He doesn't hold the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that when you find a lost object, in order to encourage people to give back lost objects, we don't make any find or swear. He says no. He says who the Amar Yaakov. He held like Rabbi Yosef Yaakov because with that, what is that? The Tanya, because we learned Rabbi Yosef Yaakov Omer. He says sometimes a person has to swear even by his own admission. Even when it's part, yes, he still has to. Even the mitzvah has to swear. Case on what's the case? A guy comes in, he says, he says, he says, he comes to the orphan of a deceased man. He says, I owed your father $100. He says, but I paid him back 50. I owed him 100. I'm telling you, but I already paid him 50. Harry said, I'm going to give you 50. Harry said, Ishmael, nope, he has to swear. He has to swear. He doesn't know the other 50.
It's straight.
Crazy. What are you talking about? He says, I owed him 100. I paid 50. Why does he have to swear? Okay, but that's the guy swears on his own claim. With the rabbi said, get out of here. He says, this guy's a finder of a lost object. You come to an orphan, and you admit you owe money, and yet you owe money. He says, you're a finder of a lost. This guy doesn't have a clue that you owe money. Why should you have to swear? Okay, the answer is that there's an opinion that holds not like our Mishnah. What opinion that holds not like our Mishnah, that even a returner of a lost object has to swear. Ivor Lazman Yaakov. Leslie Mesha made the potter. 1 second, what does he do? He's against our Mishnah. Amar, so he says to him, okay, he says, Beton or cotton. He says, I'll tell you what it is. You're right. When he said he's not against our Mishnah, pardon me, he's not against our Mishnah. Yeah, he's not against the Mishnah. He's talking where what? The child that he said it to was a minor. But the minor really was claiming, you owe my father 100. But he's a minor, so it has no meaning. Okay, and therefore, since there really is a claim against him, he has to swear. I caught them either Mashasha Yismei. He says, does a minor have any value in court? A minor's claim is no claim at all. He has no legal standing. Didn't we learn? Didn't we learn? You never swear against the claim of an imbecile, of a deaf mute, or an imbecile, or a minor. Their claims have no value. Where says no, my cotton golden. When it says that he's a minor, it really means he's a golden. But what it means, he's a cotton in this sense. But he means to say he's a minor in this sense. That even though he's a grown man, his knowledge is like that of a minor. What does that mean? Okay. Well, my car, like, why is he called a cotton? So the guy because as far as the father's affairs, he's a cotton. What do you think? Like you mentioned yesterday. What do you think? Every kid knows his father's business. It's not true. In fact, it's not that common. And until the kid is in business with the father, usually kids don't know the father's business. Usually kids,
he doesn't tell the
father. Yeah, exactly. Usually the kid doesn't know the father. So here we mean the kid's grown, but he's like a minor. He's like a minor. He says he doesn't really know the father's business, but he said you owe my father 100, but he doesn't have any standing because he doesn't really know what he's talking about. In that case, we do it. Where says, okay, that's true. Tanasatsu, what do you mean? So what do you mean he's paying on his own admission? Tanasatsu, he's paying according to the claim of the son of the father. What are you talking about? No, the answer is Tanasatsu. No, it's where the other people claim, but he's admitting. What are you talking about? What do you mean? The whole case of the Torah is where somebody else claims and you admit part. That's every case of Moda B'Miktsas. What are you talking about? That's every case of a partial admission. I say you owe 100, you admit to 50, we make you swear. I claim and you admit. Ella b'derabba k'michtei. The answer is what? That the real argument is this. That the real argument is about Rabba's reasoning that I told you. What is Rabba's reasoning? Rabba's reasoning is like I just told you. Okay, that what? The Amar Rabba, because Rabba said. What's the reasoning why Hashem told us that if I tell you you owe me 100 and you say you owe me 50 or you pay me 50, you have to swear? What's the reason? Either you're telling the truth and I have no proof against you, or you're a liar and we shouldn't let you swear. Listen again what I said, it's very important. Here's the problem. The Torah says, if I claim from you 100, you say, no, I owe you 50, or you say, I owe you 100, but I paid you 50, you have to pay me 50 and swear. Why should you swear? I have no proof. I can't prove you owe me the 50. Why should you have to swear? And if I have no proof. And if you're a liar, why should I let you swear? The whole thing's crazy. Number one, I have no proof. One, I have no proof. Why are you swearing? And if you're a liar, why should I? I'm afraid you're a liar. Why should I let you swear? Yeah, get out of it. What's the point? Either way, she says, "I'll tell you the reasoning. It's a seesaw. Here's the point.
It's psychological.
It's psychological. Here's the reason. We know that human nature is such. It's chazaka, a status quo. Human nature. It's an assumption that human nature is people are embarrassed to lie to a person who did them a favor. Yeah, you lend me money, I'm going to lie to your face, say to lend me money. How can I do it? Even a liar wants to be a mensch. Okay, he says, really, what he really wants to do is lie and say, "Oh, you nothing." That's what he really wants to do. But why doesn't he deny it? Because the guy doesn't have the chutzpah to say that he didn't borrow anything from a guy he borrowed money from. So if that's true, but if he's really lying, but he doesn't have the chutzpah to lie completely, then why are you letting him swear? Because the truth is, he really wants to. The truth is, deep down, he wants to admit to everything. He can't deny when a guy did good to him. Okay, but the fact that he doesn't admit why is only because of this. He just waited till he's looking to postpone. He doesn't have the money. He said, "When I'll have the money, I'll pay him. Right now, I'll deny that I owe the whole 100. I'll admit the 50 which I have, and I'll deny the other 50 till I can have the money. I'll pay him back." Or Rahmana. So the Torah says, listen, since the only reason he's denying it because he doesn't have it, but really he's essentially wants to admit to the truth. Make him swear, okay? He'll put a swear on him. So he'll admit to everything. The Torah understands the psychology of the person. So now, what's the argument? Where Lozman Yaakov says what? That when there's a claim of a majority minority claim against him, he's a grown man that doesn't know what he's talking about. Why do you make him swear? Okay, there's no difference whether it's the lender himself or even the son of the lender. What? Okay, ain't amazed. Everybody's afraid. Everybody's embarrassed to deny good, even to the son of the guy he lent it to. Even to the son. Okay, hold on. And therefore, what? He's not considered a guy who just returned his own volition. He's really the case of the Torah. The same way that he'd be embarrassed to deny the loan that the father gave him, even though the son didn't lend it to him, he's embarrassed to face the kid and say, "I never borrowed the money." Okay, Rabbanan Sabbath always say no. It's only for the father that he's embarrassed. No, everybody knows. The guy's willing to deny to the son. With lo meiz, and the fact that he didn't deny it, he didn't have the chutzpah, and therefore he's already like any other lender. And we have, for the sake of encouraging people to return lost objects, he shouldn't have to swear. Tomorrow, a new mission. I'll see you tomorrow with Hashem, and we'll go forward. I hope everybody has an easy fast. I'll tell you one thing. You want 1 minute? I'll tell you a story. I don't know if you know it. There used to
wrap it up while I wrap.
I'm going to wrap it up. There used to be certain rebbes. Used to be if their students did an avera or something wrong, the rebbe would give what's called a tshuva. He would give them a penance. He'd give them a punishment. Do this to straighten yourself out. So there was two bachrim. They did something wrong, and they came to the rebbe, and they said, we did something wrong. He says, okay, your punishment for today is the whole day from this minute go home, and the whole day you have to walk around with beans in your shoes. It's very painful. Very painful. That's the Rebbe said. One guy goes home, he puts beans in his shoes. Already 30 minutes later, he's in agony. Every step he takes is in agony. He's walking down the street, and his buddy, who's also supposed to put beans in his shoes, he comes around the corner. He's smiling and happy. So he looks at him. He says to him, "You're Russia." He says, "The Rebbe told us to put beans in our shoes." He said, "Yeah." He said, "But I cooked mine first." So the answer is there's no mitzvah to suffer, to tell you the truth. There's not a mitzvah to suffer. And what I mean to say, a lot of people don't like it when you tell people to have easy fast. I don't know if you noticed, they became modern. People don't. When I was little, everybody always said have an easy fast. I don't know, but when I was little, everybody
say a meaning.
Everybody, today they don't like it. They'll have a meaningful fast. I say have an easy fast. Why is that? You don't have a mitzvah to suffer? Yeah. There's another thing. You're doing your job. Hashem told you to fast. You fast. Hashem should bless you and in good health. And that's all the mission. We should see a gulish lema. But maybe a man. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I have interesting Torah there also to talk about. Yeah. Okay, good. Ay. Beautiful. So I just came, to Century Village in December. So now so see, it's a different atmosphere in the summer here.
Oh, yeah,
It's very nice.
sweltering.
Yeah, no, that's I mean physically, but also socially. It's very nice. It's very nice. Just have the hardcore people are here.
No, the poor people.
No.
who can't afford a house in New York. Can you? You obviously can walk to Shul. Do you eat in other people's houses?
Yes,
If we invited you,
I'll be very happy.
you
Why
come.
do you wear that sweater?
Even if I made you do
I'm
it
gonna tell you a
right
story, but you're gonna laugh at me. So listen,
Some old men don't have thermostats.
but I want to say, listen to this. That's all. But I want to tell you the truth. I went to Eretz Yisrael as a kid. I was 17 years old. So first of all, I don't know why, but even as a kid, I always took instruction from older people, and I benefited all my life from listening to older people than me. I learned a great deal. Some was better, some was worse, but that was my policy. One of the people who mentored me when I was a kid was an older Arab, an Arab in Yerushalayim. His name was Musa. Musa.
Moses.
That's Moshe. That's Moshe. Moshe. His name Moshe. Musa. A God-fearing Arab. He was a religious man, a God-fearing Arab. And in general, I think I told you, when I came to Yerushalayim, there was a whole society of religious Jews and religious Arabs who worked together. It disconnected from the politics of the country. Why was that? There were Arabs. I don't know if you know this. When I was younger, there were Arabs who would only do business with observant
From
Jews,
people.
From people. They would not do business with anybody. If you
Because
weren't,
they could trust them.
yeah, they trusted them. They meant, I don't know, deep down they like you, but you keep the Torah, they'll do business with you. And you should know, my brother and I lived in a little asbestos house, a little row house. We each had two rooms, literally, just this room and the other. We raised two families in 4 rooms. Each had 2 rooms, and we raised our families. Baruch Hashem. We had to tar our roof. So I got a young Arab to jobs in Israel. I don't know. In Israel, when you do a job, it's 50% before, 50% at the end of the job. You pay 50% up front, so the guy can buy materials, and then you pay him 50 when he finishes the job. No, I'm supposed to pay 50% up front. The guy shows up. Yerushalayim, they blow a horn 40 minutes before Shabbos. They blow a siren, not like here 18 minutes. They blow 40 in Yerushalayim.
And then again, 30.
Yeah. No, but Yerushalayim, they only blow once in Yerushalayim these days. No, and that's in the Gemara. That's in the Mishnah time. But in Yerushalayim, they go and they blow once at 40 minutes. No, he shows up after the siren on Friday afternoon. I have the money prepared. I give him the money. He looks at me, says, he's testing me. He says, Shabbat. He says, Shabbat. He says, I said, no. I smiled. I said to him, I said, no, the horn blows 40 minutes before the Shabbat. I said, if it was Shabbat, you're right, I couldn't pay you. He gives me a big smile, takes the money. Then he did business with me. Anyway, this Musa, who was a mentor of mine, when I was young, he said, listen, he said, in Yerushalayim, he says, the difference between the shade and the sun, the temperature is very great in Yerushalayim. He says, in all year long. He says, and if you don't keep warm, you get sick from going from, you'll be in the sun, and you go to the shade, you get sick. He said, always wear a sweater, you won't get sick. That's what he told me. I was a kid, I listened to him. Whatever happened to me, that became my policy. My whole life, I'm wearing this sweater. That's the dumb answer to an intelligent question. That's the dumb answer. Huh?
I used to go down, my father was on 47th Street, the Steindorf over there. So when I was off from school, I was there a lot of times in the summer. And I used to carry a jacket around because you went into the air conditioning.
Exactly.
And it hit you.
And it's just the same thing now. I got used to it. I got used to a certain level. That's what I've been doing all my life. I never take it off. That's what happened. That's the answer.
Yashikoach.
Shkoch, God bless you. Yashkoch. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Reb Shimon, you as well.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
One say earlier, when you talk about the person who will say he feels embarrassed to say doesn't have the whole money, so he admits to have.
Yeah.
We have something called the Eitzah. Person can do that, and then we try not to do a smaller there because they can lead to larger there.
Yeah.
He could then turn around and say, he's got more money than I have. I'll look like a fool.
Right.
Now. If I go back, then I either could give the money back and be honest, or I could be branded a liar for the rest of my life.
Right.
I just want to point that out.
Very good.
The other side of that.
Yeah. You should know, I try to tell people when I was younger, became very popular. All these English books, it became, when I was really little, English books were all not kosher. Any book of Torah in English was treif. Later, when I was already a teenager, I started to write kosher books. So they became popular to write every 2 minutes another book. Torah and diet, Torah and meditation, Torah and this. So Torah and psychology was a big thing. But the thing is, so I just tell people, they all made a mistake. If you want to know Torah psychology? Just study rabbinic decrees. The rabbis, every word the rabbi said was a discussion of human psychology, and you learn how the rabbis understood human nature. Okay, who's Bob? This is your phone, yeah?
Yeah.
I just don't want you to forget it. Chicago. Okay. How you feeling?
Thank you.
You coming along?
Coming along.
Should get better and better. You could take up drinking.
Yeah. Okay, I have to drink.